The United States will attempt to end the bloody civil war in Sudan. Following Donald Trump's meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Washington decided to join the group of countries trying to resolve the conflict. For several weeks, there has been recurrent slaughter of civilians in the Darfur region. Rogue militias rebelling against the authorities in Khartoum captured al-Fashir, the last bastion of Sudanese government forces in Darfur, in the southwest of the country, at the end of October. Since then, the militants have been conducting regular purges there, already described as genocide on a scale not seen in years. There are already tens of thousands of victims, including women and children, methodically murdered simply for living in and around the rebel-occupied city.
We want safe passage in for our convoys, our trucks, our humanitarian workers, safe passage out for the survivors, for the civilians. And then I'm also asking the world, as I said to the Security Council 2 weeks ago, to step up to the plate and start to deliver the diplomatic process, the peacemaking, the diplomacy that these people so badly need.
Until recently, the rebels were part of Sudan's official security forces as the Rapid Support Forces, RSF. In 2023, their commander attempted to overthrow the leader of Sudan and the head of the Sudanese army. Since then, a civil war has been raging between the two generals, which Islamic militants are also exploiting.
The army was demanding that the RSF integrate fully into the army and essentially dissolve as a militia force. The RSF, meanwhile, wanted to maintain its power and saw itself as just as powerful as the army itself. This dispute eventually grew out of control and it led to the fighting in Khartoum. But over the course of this war now, both sides have essentially sucked in the Sudanese across the country into their respective camps. And it's become an all-out battle for Sudan's future.
The problem is that the conflict in Sudan is constantly being fueled by foreign players. Accusations are being made against the United Arab Emirates, Libya, and Russia. This is because there are gold mines in the areas controlled by the militants, and the RSF is promising concessions in exchange for weapons.
And the support that the RSF is getting as they continue with their advances, I think it's telling, the humanitarian groups are telling us that some of the levels of malnutrition and suffering that they're seeing from some of these people who have been able to flee is unprecedented. They've recorded things they've never recorded before. And I think even more troubling is that they didn't have the number of refugees they expected to receive because they assume many of them are either dead or so sick and malnourished they can't move anymore. So what's happening there is horrifying.
That is why the countries in the region want the conflict to end as soon as possible. However, they need an influential and powerful ally. And today, that can only be the United States.
His Majesty would like me to do something very powerful having to do with Sudan. It was not on my charts to be involved in that. I thought it was just something that was crazy and out of control. But I just see how important that is to you and to a lot of your friends in the room. Sudan, and we're going to start working in Sudan.
The Americans can support Khartoum with arms supplies, but they can also carry out airstrikes on rebel bases. After the attacks on Iran, Yemen, and the peace campaign in the Middle East, Donald Trump is gaining a reputation as a decisive peacemaker who strikes first and then dictates the terms of the peace.